Hi, everybody. You're now experiencing the Gretna Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Gretna Bill Show. I'm here again with my co-host, John Lux. And Viva la Tour, huh, John?
Absolutely. Watching it as we speak, live.
Dude, so it's been phenomenal, 9 stages. They're currently engaged in stage 10 today. It's a flattish stage, island to island. First time ever in the tour. So,
Pancake flat, as the boys from Europe said this morning.
hey, I just wanted to mention, shout out, look at this, to Josh here for supplying us with some Keurig coffee. I mean, he's convinced me this is the way to go. And look at these mugs we got, huh? Dude, I got, what do I got here? Pinch Pond. John over there's got...
Got the porch and pantry, I believe.
Porch and pantry. Live from downtown Mount Gretna. Yeah, so anyway, one thing I wanted to get out of the way before I forget is we decided that we're going to have the Gretna Bill Show as part of a corporate umbrella. And the top of that pyramid will be the Gretna Bill Network. So, GBN. So if you hear us refer to GBN from now on, this was Luxie's idea, by the way, then you'll know we're talking about the Gretna Bill Network. So what we want you guys to do is to get more involved with this. So because we really want to see what you're riding, what bikes you're riding, what trails you're on, what pelotons you're in on the road, what gravel sections that you're riding. So what we're going to ask you guys to do is start sending us your favorite vids or pics, right? But vids preferably, right, Josh? On all the aforementioned activities that relate to bicycling, especially locally here. But, you know, you guys take a road trip and you go up to, you go up to World's End or whatever, somewhere in Pennsylvania, or you go out to Moab, whatever the deal is. Or you're at a big race somewhere, a big stage race on the road. Send us your footage. Send us your best footage. And we're going to open up every Gretna Bill show with some of your homegrown videos and or pics. So let's enjoy all this and let's get you guys involved because that's what we're doing. So again, whenever you hear GBN, it's the Gretna Bill Network, and
Shirts and goodies to follow.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
For sure. So I don't know, right away, first impressions right off the bat, John, what do you want to start talking about? I mean, we want to kind of work our way backwards this morning. We want to kind of talk about where we're at GC, top 10 guys after 9 stages. And then we're going to go back and pick it apart a bit, dissect it a bit more. But where are you at right now, John? What are your main thoughts this morning?
The main thought is the information that came out this morning. The testing they did yesterday, they tested, I think, close to or over 700 to 800 people on the tour, all the teams, all the team support personnel. Everyone that's been on the tour this year, I believe, got tested starting Sunday into Monday. And they came back 4 positives, team workers, not team riders, which was awesome. No riders tested positive for COVID. A Cofidis, an AG2R, an Ilios, and a Mitchelton Scott team helper all tested positive. And the big news of the day was Christian Prudhomme, the director of the Tour de France. He's off the race. He tested positive, so he's quarantined for 10 days or 7 days, whatever they do it over there. So those guys are out. So we kind of dodged a bullet yesterday with how some of the idiots were acting up on the mountain on the tops and stuff. It's like, I get it. You know, you want to cheer for your riders and stuff, but at least up there, you know, put a mask on. Don't be stupid. You know, it's common sense. I know this has been beat to death on the coverage and that, but it's true.
So you're saying that Christian will not be riding in the lead car?
He will not be in the lead car probably for the rest of the tour, if I had to guess. But again, I mean, he's glad handing and he's talking to a lot of town officials and that kind of thing. So that's kind of not a surprise. They didn't make a big deal about it.
So, I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but wasn't the original proposition for 3 test positive instead of 2? And what happened there?
Well, the French government came in and just said, it's 2. 2 people on a team and the team's out. So 4 teams have already got, they got a bullet in the chamber. So if somebody else tests positive on the next one, rider, team support, the way I read it, Cofidis, AG2R, Ilios, and Mitchelton Scott, and all teams that have animated the race so far, to say the least, they're out. So this could be really interesting. We could be talking about something completely different next Tuesday.
Right.
Kind of sketchy. So we'll see what happens on that. But initially, initially UCI wanted 3. The French government said 2, and they got to go by the country.
So, and they did test 184 riders. Correcto mundo.
Yep,
right?
all the riders got tested, and all their support personnel got tested.
So, all right, let's dive right into the GC after 9 stages, and we'll start at the bottom and work our way up, Carson style. So, number 10, you got Mikel Landa, Bahrain McLaren. They've been having a pretty good race.
Yeah, I mean, he has. He impressed me.
Greg Van Armament, etc. Then next, you've got Angel Manuel Lopez from Astana. Then you've got Adam Yates, Mitchelton Scott. Boy, we knew he was going to lose.
Yeah, he dropped on stage 9. I mean, that was to be expected. He rode phenomenally. His time in the y'all, that was a bonus for that team. They came here looking for stage wins, and I think they revert back to what they came here for. And I would be very surprised if they don't get one.
And then we go up to Tadej Pogacar from UAE Emirates. And, earlier in the show, I said to you, my gosh, and I kind of keep track of that stuff. He had the best kilo per watt average, which was 6.3.
Kid's young. Kid's incredible.
He's only 21.
We'll touch on it later. I mean, I would be very surprised if we don't see him on the podium in Paris in 2 weeks. Then, very surprised.
Then we jump up to Uran Rigoberto from EF Pro Cycling. And again, just to mention, that's 3 Colombians in the top 10.
Impressive.
Now, that just goes to show you that when you get kind of an iconic figure like we had Lance Armstrong around 2000, and how that really motivated people to get out on the bike. And that's happening in Colombia now. And so it's no surprise that you got 3 Colombians up in there. And, plus they train at altitude.
Well, they had great guys back in the 80s, Fabio Parra and all the first crew that went over there. I mean, the running joke in Europe in the 80s was they could go uphill like angels, but they went downhill like rocks. I mean, you never followed them downhill. It was terrible. I mean, Sean Kelly used to comment on how bad the Colombians were going downhill, but they could climb like gazelles. But that's awesome to see for that country.
So speaking of, so next we go into Nairo Quintana.
There's 4.
There's 4, right? So you got Bernal, Quintana, Rigoberto, you got Uran, and you got Lopez, right? Lopez,
yeah, I think
Rigoberto.
I think there's something in the water over there.
So there's 4 Colombians in the top 10. Amazing. Okay. So then you go to, we talked about him earlier, Romain Bardet, AG Joueur La Mondiale. He's up into 4th place.
Yep. They're having an incredible tour. The AG2R's got the mountain jersey with who I call the new professor, Bernie Benoit. Now I'm going to mess it up. I'm not even going to try. I should know it by now by hearing it a million times.
I think I've been practicing.
Go ahead.
Benoit Cosenfroy.
Close enough. That's not.
You know how I remember Benoit, don't you? All right, never mind.
I call him the little professor, man. Off the bike, he's got the glasses on and stuff. He looks like he's smart. So.
Isn't there some kind of sexual toy called a Benoit ball?
Man.
Okay, sorry.
Billy, it's 8:00 in the morning. Come on, man.
Number 3, Martin from Cofidis.
Yeah. I called it a week ago. I'm not, I'm going to go out on the limb and say the dude's solidly in the top 10 this year. I don't think that's much of a limb. I mean, he's been riding phenomenally. He rode real well on stage 9. He was dangling, but he's a lot like Adam Yates. He just stays within himself, and he's always there.
So here we are. And we've got 2 Frenchmen in the top 5. Very impressive. So then, of course, the top 2, you got Bernal at number 2 and Roglic number 1. Of course, the 2 best teams, Jumbo-visma, Roglic, and Bernal, of course, Ineos Grenadiers. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think they're only separated by 12 seconds, and that's primarily time bonuses.
21 seconds, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's 21 seconds.
And how much of that you think is time bonuses? A lot of it.
Half of it. Probably better than half of it. I mean,
you get 10 seconds, don't you, on the win, and Roglic had a win.
Yeah, certain ones. Jumbo's really, they're taking it to Ineos. I mean, I don't think Ineos brought the best team for this tour. I mean, Carapaz is nowhere to be found.
Disappointing.
Disappointing. I mean,
he's still in there, but he's out 3.5 minutes.
I think Egan maybe next weekend when they're in the Alps, maybe won't be isolated and by himself. I mean, he showed on stage 9 that he's going to be right there, and I think he's getting better as this tour goes on. But I think it's going to be really tough to beat Primož now. I think this guy's got the bit, and he's. I might
call Carapaz along with maybe Tommy D, the big loser so far.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Jumbo, that's the only mistake Jumbo's made this entire tour is burning up Tommy D. And I don't know who to blame for that. I mean, it's got to go back to the directors.
So, wow, 4 Colombians, 2 Frenchmen, and 2 Slovenians. Amazing. Formerly Yugoslavia. All right. So, who was a big baby on stage 9?
Oh, that was our buddy from Italy, Fabio Aru. My sources, quote unquote, tell me that he was told before the race to work for Taddy, and he threw a little piss fit about that and didn't really want to work for Taddy. So, he got the stomach ailment or got something bothering him, and maybe he does. I mean, again, I'm not, all joking aside now. I mean, I'm not ever going to put I'm not ever going to put myself in these guys' place, but it sure looked to me like he was pretty annoyed and pretty pissed off when the bike was following him when he was off the back. And again, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
He did one of these.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him
get away from me. Don't be watching.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was hurting a little bit, but the Euro sources that I read and follow and listen to have all said that the team kind of pulled him aside to start. It's like, look, we got to throw everything behind the kid, and he didn't want any parts of that. So it'll be interesting to see. I expect him to be on a Continental. I'd be surprised if he's on a World Tour team next year. I would think he's going to be on one of those Italian Continental teams. And
well, he had a pretty serious injury here.
Yeah, he did. I mean, the guy's kind of never shown his promise after he had that great run. So,
and what do you win the Euro one year?
Yeah, something. He definitely won a Grand Tour. I mean, the guy's no slouch, but it is what it is.
All right, so let's go back to stage 1. Let's dissect this just a little bit. We're going to go through this pretty quickly.
We're going to break it down.
Breaking it down with Gretna, Bill, and Luxie. All right, so stage 1. Yeah, who'd we have? We had Christoph won it. UAE. Yeah. Boy, they've been having a good tour.
Yeah, I mean, that would have made their whole tour right there.
I mean, that's Taddy and Christoph. Like you said, if you win that one stage, and Christoph, what a great guy to get it, right? Norway, big Norwegian. And we were saying that, the foul weather, the rain, and all that. Well, there was 2 stories on more than the rain that made the road so slick and all those accidents. But Christoph survived. But there was 2 things going on, and I wanted to ask you about them. One was supposedly there was a company that did soap promotion, like laundry soap, and they had little packets. And so they were throwing them out to the crowds prior to the race, and then some of those got wet and became, loose, and then that stuff got on the road surface. Can you speak to that?
You could see it on the road. I mean, a lot of these pros are based in Nice, based in Monaco. They know these roads like the back of their hands. I mean, they train on these roads like we ride on the roads around here, so we know them really well. You got the promotional caravan that goes in front of the race, throws out goodies to the spectators and stuff, whatever. I mean, all that stuff you see, like the polka dot T-shirts and hats and all that stuff, that's all thrown out in the promotional camp in caravan. Apparently, there was a soap company, laundry detergent company, or something that was throwing out little samples. You could see it on the roads. There was definitely something. I mean, most of these pros mentioned, it's like, man, we've been down these descents numerous times in the rain, and it's never been as nasty as it was that stage 1. So, I mean, that kind of tells me, and the way the whole story's kind of just disappeared kind of tells me something. There's some truth to that, But it was nasty. I mean, it took a lot of guys out early on. I mean, Lotto Sedell lost 2 guys right off the bat. They lost John Keckengob he was 3 minutes over the time limit. He was 18K down.
Gilbert.
And Gilbert, re-injured himself. So that hurt Lotto. It didn't seem, it's not slowing Ewing down, but it definitely makes a difference when you go out of the first day.
So the other conjecture was that there was, at this time of the year, which they're not used to riding at this time of the year, some of the trees along the way, I forget the names of them, but they emitted some kind of sap thing that didn't help as well. That seems plausible, right?
Well, and they hadn't had any rain in a while, and they use a lot of diesel over there. I mean, it coats the roads. I mean, they got a lot of road oilers over there as far as the vehicles go, and they're using stuff from the 50s. Maybe not quite that bad, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, there's a lot of factors went into that, but it was an interesting stage. It was, it was cool to see the World Championship jersey up there. Mads Pedersen in second, and Case Bowles. Sunweb's having a great tour. I was a little disappointed.
Both young guys, both absolutely. Under 25.
Yeah, both very young guys. So it was a good start to the tour. I mean, it kind of sucked. Gilbert went out because he's one of my favorites, but I mean, it kind of went to script other than the the slippery surface and whatnot.
Yeah. So let me say this too. I think that Ewan had a flat, and he was able to get back on to that, and it was close to the end. It was like within 15K or something, correct? So that's pretty impressive. He had to hustle to get, because everything, he could have lost everything there, although he's not like a GC guy.
No. And the other big story of the day was Pinot going down within the 3K and banging himself up really bad,
which is apparently affecting his back injury.
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty
know,
much taking him out.
That's pretty much it.
I think he's down 3 minutes and 42 seconds now at the moment.
I mean, he'll be chasing the stage in the Alps. So he's going to be going after stage 1.
Okay, we're going to get off.
Let's go to stage 2.
Well, okay, one more thing with stage 1. And I was really impressed with Ineos because about 7, 8, maybe 10K out, they got out front and they were driving it, all 7 guys, 8 guys, hard. And their whole job was to get Bernal.
You get him to the 3K.
Get him to the 3K because, well, explain the 3K rule, John.
All the times, they take the time at the 3K for the overall. I mean, they don't, it's kind of the GC rule where if you get, if you're your leader, whoever, first, if you're in a group, when you hit the 3K, that's the time you're going to get. So if you crash in the last 3K or something, you're not going to lose minutes or a lot of time. So the GC guys all race. You'll see all these little climbers and stuff up there driving hard, and when they get the 3K, man, they just peel off.
That's only on sprint stages.
Yeah.
But to Brailsford's credit, okay, the team director there, they said, look, we're not losing this on the first day. But you get Bernal up in there.
Yeah, but they all do. I mean, all these guys.
Well,
do
Jumbo
that.
was there too. They actually had twin.
All your GC guys are gonna, they're gonna make sure they're positioned in that front group going into that last.
It didn't happen on this stage, but while we move on here, I want to say that there are time limits, so you just can't finish any time you damn well please.
Oh, you got to finish within a certain percentage time of the finisher. So I'm not 100% sure what that is.
It's different per stage.
It changes.
Like
with the
if it's a mountain stage, they're going to cut you a little bit more slack.
But I've noticed the officials this year have been pretty. There's no following the team cars back from stuff. There's no drafting. I mean, obviously we're going to touch on what happened to Alaphilippe here in a couple minutes. They're on it. I mean, the excuse they use, the excuse UCI uses is it doesn't show. It's not the greatest of visual for the worldwide. For the sport. The visually on the sport, it doesn't come off as well. And then I'm going to touch on something here real quick. I wanted to touch on our boy Remco Evenepoel. He's recovering from his crash at Lombardy.
Yep.
There was some controversy that one of the directors took a little something out of his back pocket when he was laying on the stretcher. Their thing was it was making him uncomfortable. It was a water bottle. It was a little pouch or bottle or something with some Red Bull, whatever in it. And of course, all the internet geniuses, it's like, well, he's dope and he's doing this, he's doing that, which I don't think for a second. I mean, he comes from a Belgian cycling family that the parents are always heavily involved. I don't believe that kid's doping.
He's too talented for them to make a stupid mistake like that.
But the point I'm going to make with the UCI is, we don't think of the rider's safety first. I mean, they just don't really. I'm not a big fan of the UCI. I think they don't give two shits about the riders. They're all about making money. I mean, all you hear is that sucking sound coming out of Switzerland every time a race is pony. You notice, World Championships, touch on that real quick. World Championship is going to be around the week after the Tour ends in Imola, Italy, because Switzerland has a complete lockdown. And I get that. They canceled all cycling in Switzerland this year, so no World Championships in Switzerland. So it got moved to Italy. Really hard race, a lot of 15,000, 16,000 feet of climbing.
All those UCI fines that are levied in Swiss francs.
Yeah, that's tradition.
So we want that money back.
Yeah. But want it back. But I mean, you knew there was going to be worlds. You knew there was going to be racing this year because they in the end, they're kind of like the mob. They get paid. Pay me.
Fair enough. Stage 2. First impressions, John.
Oh, it was a great stage. I mean, that last, it kind of stayed together. That early break with Sagan, and that's when Bernie got the jersey, and there was great guys in that early break. And then that last 20K, Julian just throws it down up the Col d'Ez, and Mark Hershey goes with him. Adam Yates jumps across, and we'll talk more. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot more about Hershey Bar. The dude, Alaphilippe, is just incredible. Watching that guy go downhill is just unreal. But then I got to give props to Sunweb's Mark Hershey from Switzerland. I mean, he proved it the other day. Man, oh day, man, that dude went downhill like a rock. It was scary to watch. But Julian took the jersey, took the lead, which is great for France and great for him. And it was just it was a great stage. It was a really, really good second stage. It was an awesome stage.
Well, the other thing during that stage, John texted me about how lean he thought Adam Yates was looking. And it proved to be very to be very foretelling about how he was riding good, man.
Yeah. These guys come in. I mean, it's all about ounces. It's all about grams. They'll carry very little food on them, whatever. I mean, the GC guys, there's always somebody supplying them with something. It's pretty Pretty incredible how lean these guys are, how thin they get going into these Grand Tours.
It's incredible. So winners certainly Alaphilippe and Ineos or Quick Step.
Koenig Quick Step.
The Koenig Quick Step. And losers, I was going to pick Sivakov because he went down twice.
The day before. That started on the first day,
and then he went down again.
Yeah. I mean, that was not a great start for Ilios. I mean, you can't lose a guy like that early. And the other thing, again, you can't win it, but you can lose it.
So also, John pointed out earlier that he likes Patrick Lefevre for Quick Step, correct?
Oh, he's a great director. He's old school Belgian.
So to that point, right after Alaphilippe did that punchy climb and just separated himself from the group and won the race, they gave a quick shot into the team car, and Lefevre was just nuts, right? You remember that?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
He was going nuts.
It's all about making sponsors happy, especially a Frenchman. And like I said, it's great that we're back racing again, because without the racing this year, I think we probably would have lost quite a few World Tour teams, Yeah,
just really quickly, you didn't think it was much of a story, but Thibaut Pinot was given number 51.
Well, his team ended up fifth in the rankings
so
the year
get
before.
51,
so he
52,
gets 5, and 51's famous number in the Tour. I mean, Merckx won the Tour with 51, and our buddy Phil Liggett always mentions that from 150 years ago about how the 51. So anybody watching the Tour recently probably doesn't even know who Eddie Merckx is, the GOAT, much less what 51 means, but it's definitely worth going back and looking at the history of this great race.
The other thing I saw on stage 2 that I hadn't seen before, but you probably have, was the Vittel vest or the water bottle vest. Did you see them break that up?
Yeah.
That's new, right?
Within the last few years, it makes sense because, some of these guys can stuff 10, 15 bidons, bottles down their jerseys and whatnot and right up through the bunch. But
they stuff them back here.
A couple of these teams have come up with basically a vest with filled with
Sorry,
bottles.
John. I didn't see that.
That's
like
all right.
this. They stuff them down in there, folks. Right, like that. All right.
You realize I'm never drinking that water again.
Sorry.
But that's okay. Real quick update on the day stage. We got 2 guys up the road. Got a minute and a quarter. Of course, Mickey Shar's in there and somebody else.
CCC.
Yeah, it's an FDJ rider. So it's pretty cool.
All right, let's rock stage 3.
Yep.
So who'd you have in that? The first 3 guys.
First 3 was Caleb Ewing, Sam Bennett, and Nizzolo. And I think Nizzolo's out. Sam Bennett's thereabouts, and Ewing that was an incredible sprint. He just came from, 15, 20 meters back, if not more.
It was a fantastic sprint.
Weaved his way through, and just it was an impressive. The little dude makes tons of power.
So and he's from Lotto Soudal, of course, with a broken down team a bit,
Yeah. Well, he's freewheeling. He's doing it on his own. Another guy I want to give props out to was in that break. Was again, it was the Professor Perez and Jerome Kazines went up the road, and Kazines got the real long hair and stuff. He seems like he's a pretty cool dude. Does a lot of touring and does a lot of stuff on his own. And he's been in a lot of breaks. He's been in a few breaks already, and the dude seems like he's super strong. And I'm kind of pulling for him and Total Direct Energy getting a stage win. That would be pretty cool.
So at the GC after stage 3, you had Alaphilippe, Yates, and you had Mark Hershey, right?
Yeah. It would have been the 3 from the second stage where they came all.
Was that the stage where we had the big split peloton due to the wind and the echelon?
I can't remember.
And there's some guys that didn't make it.
Nah, I believe it was. I mean, that's where Taddy lost some time.
He lost a minute.
That's where Taddy lost. That's definitely put some guys out of the running. But most of the that would have been the one. Yeah, I gotta look here. I gotta look at my notes.
All right. Well, let's jet on to stage 4. We started with 172 riders.
It wasn't that stage. It was stage 7. We'll get to that.
Right. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Stage 4 started with 172 riders. That means only 4 riders have dropped out.
Yep.
And again, as you stated, the first break had a Total Direct Energy dude in it.
Yep.
Almost every break. Okay, so I was impressed today. I would say the most courageous rider was that Gaudo. He started off, he was going to drop. He had a problem with a fall in his sternum, and he was in the back, and he came back later in the week to just be there, man. So for Groupama, correct?
Yeah. Well, stage 4, Sestrion to Alcières Merlet was the first kind of mountain stage, first hilly stage, real legit hilly stage. Great ride by Durango, Colorado. Sepp Kuss had an awesome ride, pulled like a maniac up through there for the top 3 in that stage was Primoz, Taddy, and Gil Martin, kind of setting the thing there.
Bob Youngles did a hell of a job, didn't he? For
Egon was right there. Yates looked really good. Carapaz looked kind of questionable. He's kind of dangling, so maybe that was the start of him not being so good at this tour. I don't know. I mean, the Israelis were looking good. ISN looked pretty sharp. They're kind of animating things. I'd like to see them get a stage win the next 2 weeks. But it was the start. I mean, Alaphilippe hung on to the jersey, looked strong, and it was it didn't foreshadow what was coming the next day. That
was a Slovenian stage for sure.
It started
Roglic
to be
1, Pogacar 2.
That seems to be this tour. Stage 5 was Gap to Privas, and that was mostly downhill with some sting in the tail. That was
still at 172 riders.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, and this is the stage where Julian took the bottle in the last 20K, which you're not supposed to. I've seen other guys take bottles in the last 20K many times. I'm not quite sure why the UCI decided to nail him on this one, but they did. It was actually from a family member, from an uncle or a cousin or something, is one of his Swannies, and took the bottle, and he got nailed a 22nd time bonus or a penalty, and it handed the jersey over to Adam Yates, which I'm sure he didn't want it that way.
So how was who were the top 3 there?
Top 3 in that was my man Wout van Aert from Belgium, Case Bowles with another great second.
Right? You've been lauding him
and
all
Sam
season.
Bennett third, and Wout did it the old-fashioned way, man. Just did it on his own, surfed the wheels, and came up through there and smoked them. And it was an impressive sprint, super impressive sprint.
So, John, you and I talked about one mistake we made, just one, in the first podcast, which was we thought Marc Soler was out. But
you're right, Billy. I got to give you your props, man. Soler was brought in late, I believe. So Marc Soler is in there. I mean, Movistar hasn't done a whole lot yet this tour, but I expect to see him a lot.
The only thing they did was this stage. He had a little bit of
took a little bit of a dig. Yeah, he took a dig. Actually, that was in the first and second day, because I texted you right away and let you know that I got to give you. Every once in a while, Billy finds a squirt or finds a nut, and he hits a home run. I do want to mention real quick, Nielsen. I pronounced his name wrong, like most of these guys' names wrong. Nielsen Palace, the U.S. rider from Sacktown, Sacramento, wearing the infamous number 77. It's like my favorite number. That was my pop's race car number back in the day. So anytime you see 77, it's pretty cool. It's also cool to see EF Education with the team lead for quite some time with them yellow helmets on. But now after Sunday, the Movistar took their rightful place as the team leader. They don't win much else, but they win that. They'll fight like cats and dogs to win that team.
That's the fourth. That's the fourth thing, guy across the line.
That's their thing, man. Yeah,
the fourth rider across the line.
Yep.
That's their thing. So, also in stage 6, that's where we're at now. Yep. I wanted to take a little bit of a sponsor break and talk about the folks that have enabled us to bring this podcast to you. And first and foremost is Lupine Lighting Systems, and that's lupinenorthamerica.com. And the second is Guerciotti Bicycles, and that's guerciottiusa.com. Next is Deluxe Bikes, that's downtown Lebanon. And finally, Josh Zaring Studios, that is downtown Mount Gretna. So I told John earlier I wanted to relate a little story about Guerciotti Bicycles here, seeing how that stage 6, Greg Van Avermaet was
Van Avermaet.
Yeah, he was very. It was a great stage for him. I mean, what a veteran rider, and he's riding for that CCC team. They are, like John said earlier, they should have stayed Continental. They went pro, and I think that they're not going to be around this next year. But to that point, Alessandro Guerciotti of Milan, Italy, of course, he was emailing me, and I said, geez, it would be really great if you could get that.
Real quick now, CCC, when they were Polish-based Continental team, were riding Guerciottis.
Yes.
The CCC team was. It's just that they didn't go over to the World Tour.
Right. Okay, fair enough. Got it. Okay, thanks for making that distinction. I'm really excited when I talk about Guerciotti. I get it confused. So, so they were riding Guerciotti when they were the Polish team. And then Alessandro said, man, we got a chance to be the sponsor of this pro world team. And I said, man, that's great. And so we were emailing back and forth, and he was just telling me about the difficulties it was bidding against Giant, just a mega corporation.
Big money.
And he said, we were so close. And I was like, this would be so great for GUERCIOTTIUSA.com, of course. So anyway, that's the story I wanted to tell about Greg Van Avermaet.
Avermaet. See, now I just run the YouTube video of the little thing that they sent Maddie, director at Mitchelton Scott. I'll think of his name here like 4 hours from now when it doesn't matter. They sent him a little bit because he kept getting the name wrong. So they sent him like the Muppets video instead of whatever they did. And they said Van Avermaet. So that runs through my head now on every ride. So I can't get it out. But stage 6 was a good stage, proper stage with a sort of a hilly finish. Astana on the attack. I think it was Andre something Lenchenko. Lenchenko is an awesome rider. I think it's his birthday today. He super strong, one-day guy, can win the small stage races, whole 9 yards. Jose Serrata, the Cofidis rider you made mention of on the first show, came in there and slatted in there with a nice second. And then GVA, Van Avermaet, came in third. It was Nielsen Powell's birthday. He rode awesome again. Just
one of 3 Americans, just to recap that.
And they're all doing great.
You
all
got
3
Sepkus,
Americans.
you got Nielsen
from Durango,
Powell's.
Colorado. Nielsen Powell's, and you got the old reliable.
What's he been doing? I haven't seen him at all.
I mean, he's doing his job for EF. He's kind of surfing and bringing guys around. And, you might see, his name totally escapes me now.
TJ Van
Garden is thereabouts. I mean, I think you can see him get into a break this week or next week, or maybe go after a stage win. It would be really super cool to see one of these 3 guys get a stage win. I don't think Koos is going to be allowed to run. They're going to need him way too much as a worker. But the other 2, man, how cool would it be to see Nielsen Powell's get a stage win? The kid's riding great. Another great attack by Julian at the end there to take some time back, just a hair on the hill.
Oh, yeah, tremendous. He finished 5th in the stage.
He jumped away and got a little bit of time back. So he's still got some fight in his legs. I think he's lost enough time now that they might let him run. And I'd be very shocked if Julian doesn't get another stage win.
So shout out to Gerardo, because he was back to 5th or 6th, and it looked like he was done. He was back there with the GVA.
He jumped across when Lenchenko
ended up 2nd.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
He had him close, but
Boy, he worked hard that stage.
He did.
Circling back just a moment to Guerciotti Bicycles and GUERCIOTTIUSA.com. So we also locally have a team that is sponsored by Guerciotti, and that is locally 717 cyclocross teams, 717 cycling. That's Ben Strine and his boys down in Lancaster. It's got a good youth program, and we were glad to see that. They've got custom painted bikes. That's the nice thing about Guerciotti. I just ordered a 740 this morning, and I'm getting it custom painted to match.
That's a shocker, Billy. That's just an absolute shocker. Another really cool Guerciotti run around the area is our buddy Todd Holsapple.
Right.
Has an awesome
beautiful
decked
bike.
out. Maybe like the next show or 2, we'll get that nice ride in here and have it sitting in the background or something.
I would like to bring
really
my time. Like I said, this is going to match my time trial bike. So I'd like to bring my Guerciotti time trial bike in before stage 20, which is a TT.
Absolutely.
Just to show the folks out there. And again, hopefully you folks will send in some good ride footage of whatever you're doing locally or whatever, and send it in to us, and we will put that in as part of our next podcast. So if you got some good stuff, send it in, please. And that's part of the greater GBN, the Gretna Bill Network.
Stage 7. Incredible stage. Right from the get-go, they're climbing, which kind of sucks for these guys. I'm sure they were all on the turbos in the morning warming up. Benoit Cosafine, the King KOM goes off the front, barely hangs on to get like the 1 point or 2 points of the stage. Cosenfoy. The professor, Bora just put the hammer down. I mean, it was like the man with the hammer came and hit him in the head, and it was game over. Bora blew it apart. Sagan got back in green. I mean, all the sprinters, if you weren't paying attention on stage 7, you were screwed. I mean, it was just one of those old fashioned, all hands on deck at the front, putting it down, killing it. Boris sent a message. I mean, they don't really have a GC Hope anymore, and we'll touch on that. Their GC Hopes are done. Sagan's back in green just barely. Well, now he's back in green just barely. The winds had an effect. I mean, these teams, these big roller style teams, know how to make people hurt really bad.
As we talked about last show, echelon.
Oh, yeah.
That made the difference.
Yeah, you miss it, you're done. You're not getting across. Another great stage finish for Jumbo-visma with my boy Wout. Just another incredible stage win.
Another incredible stage for Wout.
Eddie Bossenhagen in second, which was good for him. And then Brian Coukard, the Frenchman, in there in third. always got to pull Willie over the finish line. He's always got to do his animated stuff. I mean, I think it's bred into them, the Frenchmen. They got to, they twist their faces around.
I've been seeing too that, you traditionally had your in-between stages. They call them hilly stages. And you got your mountaintop stages. And you got your flatlander, sprinter stages. But that illustrated to me kind of a newer trend in that Cocard was there and Bosenhagen were there. They're not climbers necessarily. But that stage, you had to be a bit of a climber to stay on there. Yes or no?
I mean, there were some climbs in there for sure, but I mean, these guys are also smart. They really are smart. They know how to read races. They saw what Bora was doing. I mean, especially these Eddie Boss is more of a flatland guy, more of a team worker. He's won some great races. He's won stages in the Tour. He's smart. Kukar's smart. These guys see what's going on. The GC guys, if they don't have the team around them, if they get detached or whatever, somebody's got to go back and try to bring them back in that. But if you're even 30, 40 seconds back when a team's full gas, it's game over.
So, I like to categorize this today as old school day.
Yeah.
Right? It was old
it's been
school.
The last couple of days,
it was
for sure.
Belgium. It was Echelon. It was
Hard Man's Day.
Hard Man's Day. Hard Men of Belgium. HMB.
Yeah.
And losers today, I got Carapaz.
You better watch
and
that. You might have to do some copyright. You might have to pay.
With Wilson.
Keith
Wilson.
You might have to. I mean, I think he pretty much has that locked down.
Sorry, Keith.
It's you might get
Hope
a letter.
You're watching.
You might get a letter in the mail.
Yeah.
Stage 8, which was another great one. Great GC battle. Tebow is done.
Let me back up one thing. When I said losers, Carapaz and Pogacar, again, he punctured. And again, got back on with only like one UAE guy.
He lost time, but the fact that he punctured, he didn't get just shelled, gives the guy tons of confidence. I mean, he's young, 21 years old. He's not worried at all. He's going to be there at the end of this in Paris.
One thing to say is that, you've often talked about how 21 days, the old guys will come through at the end, the guys that have been in Grand Tour before, the strength. But Pogacar is another example of youth. So when you're 21 years old, you recover a lot faster. Quickly. So that's also kind of the other end of the spectrum of what we've been talking about.
You're not overthinking it.
I mean, the guy got stronger. No, he's just going, man.
The dude got stronger last year, Tour Spain and the Velts at the end, and I expect him to continue to do that. Stage 8 was a hilly stage. I mean, you had three Cat 1s in there.
We're finally in the Pyrenees.
And the top 3 were Renans Peters, AG2R, great tour, Tom Skiens, and Carlos Verona rounded out your top 3.
And then Zakarin.
That
he
was a disappointment.
Well, Paulus had a great race.
Paulus had a great ride, top 5. And Zakarin showed that he cannot descend at all. He was doing, to quote our boy Lance, he was doing some 3-point turns in the switchbacks.
However, again, CCC in the limelight.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great GC battle. I mean, Yates was yo-yoing, but he stayed within himself. Julian lost some time. I definitely got to do a mention of another race that was taking place during this time was the under 23 Giro, the baby Giro. And that was won by UK rider Thomas Pidcock. Thomas Pidcock is right up there with Remco, Evenepoel, and Taddy, and all these young guys. Pidcock is incredible, super strong GB rider. He's kind of just staying low key. He's really good on a mountain bike. He's incredible on a cross bike. He's really good on the road. I would be surprised if he doesn't end up in Ilios because he's a British rider. But wherever he ends, I mean, I would think that by this time, a month or two from now, I would think he'll be on a world tour team. But maybe not. I mean, him and his dad seem to have a plan for him, and they're not. They're not rushing it, but Pidcock won 3 stages, won the baby Giro. That puts him in really good shape going into the Worlds, which he'll probably run elite.
What teams he ride for?
He rides for his own team. They have a Trinity Racing out of the UK. They pretty much built a team around Thomas, and the dude's incredible. I mean, if you don't know who Tom Pidcock is, look him up on YouTube or whatever. The dude just has a lot of fun. He's just an incredible kid. He crashed real hard, I think, at the Tour of Avier last year, smashed his face all up. The kid is super, super strong.
So after stage 8, GC, Yates still hanging on, number 1, then Roglic, then Martin, then Bernal, then Tommy D is still there after stage 8, and then Quintana.
Yeah, and Dumignon. I mean, we'll touch on him in a second, but he just, he I don't know, somebody in the car screwed up there. I mean, he just did too much. Yeah, he just did too much. So
Luxie had
They need him up there.
Luxie had a brilliant idea this morning, and we're going to maybe do it later in these podcasts before the tour is over. But certainly going into next year, we want to get a Dutchman to
a Pennsylvania Deutschman
to announce the stages in their best French
in Central PA vernacular in Pennsylvania Deutschified. We'll have to have some whoopie pies here for him or something. We'll have to.
So we will be taking auditions for that.
You got to
give us an example. Give us an example of what you're talking about.
I can't do it.
Just in your own vernacular.
I just, it's got to be it's got to be a Deutschified.
Well, just name 2 cities so they know what to say.
No, I can't.
How about this one?
Poe and Laurens. I mean, I don't even know how
Poe to Laurens.
So
James Bennett, if you're out there listening, we'd love to see you, hear you.
Got to have a beard. Got to have a shaky beard. You got to possibly, work construction.
Straw hat would be good.
Ride a scooter. Maybe frequent a certain bike shop in Ephrata.
So takes all those things, but James is local talent, so we'd certainly welcome your pronunciations.
Don't expect, might get a cup of coffee if you're lucky. But stage 9.
He does ride a GUERCIOTTI, by the way, gravel bike, and he uses Lupine lights.
Well, then that kind of puts him high up on the list. Chances are he'll be the only one that applies. Stage 9, Poe to Laurens. And that was when things got interesting. That was on Sunday. Top 3 was Taddy, Primož, and Mark Hirschi. The Hirschi bar had an unbelievable ride, dude. The guy was off for quite some time, went off in a group. The descend off of the Col de Saudet was just incredible. I mean, it was wet. This dude was breaking late into the corners.
He looked so good on that. The way he was hitting the corners, the way his whole body was like a skier, man, like a downhill skier.
Swiss ex-world champion, under 23 world champion, I believe, or junior world champion. His agent is the
Fabio Cancellara.
Is Spartacus.
Right.
Fabio Cancellara.
He lives in his neighborhood, apparently, in Switzerland.
Neighbor. He's got him. That's his mentor and his thing. And dude, Hirschi's incredible. I mean, that kid was incredible. The yellow is Primož at 21 seconds, Egon in second, and Gilles Martin in third. Today, nothing's gonna change this week for the most part. I don't
shout out to the old man. He was still in there at the end in that last group of 12 or 15. That's Valverde.
Yeah, Valverde was driving hard to try to get across to the top, to the 5 or 6 that were up the road. And then you also had Mikel Landa in there. Landa kind of jumped back into that top 10. I expect to see him move up. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't end up somewhere 6 or 7.
So obviously it's Roglic, Bernal, Martin, Bardet, Quintana, Uran, Pogacar, Yates, Lopez, and Landa. He jumped into 10.
Yeah, Landa jumped into 10.
So who do you have as losers today?
Losers,
Tommy D, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, that was for a few days and stuff. I mean, it's gonna be the losers for today. We may see tomorrow, the next day, as far as who came out of the rest day good and who didn't. I mean, you just never know how your body's gonna react. Luckily, today's pancake flat. I mean, pancake flat. So the GC guys, they're just gonna sit in there as long as there's no big crashes. They don't get caught up behind anything. They should be fine. Today's almost like another recovery day. I do want to do a quick mention. Another race started in Italy yesterday, the Tirreno Adriatico, which is the
nice race.
The race of 2 Cs. And it normally is ran before the Giro in late April or early May or whatever, late April. But yesterday, you got to go back and see yesterday's finish. It was Fernando Gavia had it, dead to rights, gone, straight sprint, had it won. Pascal Ackermann from Bora just comes out of nowhere, up the side against the boards, and just squeaks by him, sitting down. It was incredible. I mean, it was...
Is he related to local legend Kyle Ackermann?
There's an outside chance that him and Kyle are probably related somewhere down the line. I don't think Pascal will admit to that. I can say that because Kyle probably won't watch this. But, I think he discriminates against us online.
Or maybe Glenn Ackerman, and then he changed it to just Acker.
Well, that was when his family came across from the old country.
Or tried to Americanize his name. You got
it. But also in this race is Matthew Van der Poel is also in Tirreno Adriatico. So I expect to see him win a stage. I mean, every time Wout gets a big win, a little bit of Matthew dies, and vice versa. I mean, those guys are just such they just have such a rivalry. I mean, I think they're probably good friends, but they definitely keep a track on who's doing what. That's the future in the lowlands.
Nice updates, John. Thank you. So where are we at today on stage 10? What's going on?
Today it's flat as a pancake. They're going to
what's going on now?
Right now, the two. Well, we're at one of the famous NBC Sports commercial breaks that last 20 minutes. Hey, we're back racing. Actually, they're showing yesterday. I mean, that means the talking heads in Connecticut are talking right now and giving us their insight. Today's probably not a whole lot going to happen. I'm figuring they let this break run. They keep them at a minute and a half. Actually, it's down to 35 seconds, so they're coming back. Somebody's driving at the front. Looks like the kind of quick steps up there. There's Jumbo-visma jerseys over there.
Let me guess, my boy Tim DeClerc.
Yeah, it looks like he's squarely at the front with his
square head, squared off
look that Billy loves.
So, okay, Chris Horner today, first thing out of the box, he said he thinks Jumbo just pushing it too hard. Thoughts?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they know what they're doing. They got good directors in the cars. I mean, they've kind of...
Who is their race director?
Off the top, I don't know. I'm sure he's Dutch. I'm going to go out on the limb there and say he's Dutch. But the chances of them, they're using the template of Sky and Ilios. They know what they're doing.
So winners today had to be Bardet and Landa, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you mean Sunday? Sure. I mean,
Sunday.
Bardet's riding a smart race, man. He's just thereabouts the whole time. It looks like he's matured a lot. That he's kind of staying within himself. He's not pushing it. Nero Quintana is the dark horse, man. Quintana, he could still win this whole thing.
You remember in the beginning, I said you got to talk me out of Quintana. You kept got to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
and you said bridesmaid.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough.
And I said he's the only guy that's won the other two major grands out of all of them, 176 riders.
Egon's still a question mark, I think. I mean, he looked really good on Sunday.
So Van de Velde says he thinks it's one of two things. Is Bernal struggling to stay there, or is he being very patient? What's your thought?
He's probably a little of both. He's smart. Egon knows what he's doing. He's going to get better as this race goes on. I'm never going to argue, all joking aside. Now, I'm not going to ever say anything negative about Horner and Van de Velde and these guys. They've all done it. They've been there. I mean, they've raced these races. I mean, Horner's won a Grand Tour, Nevelta. These guys know what they're talking about. There's no doubt about that.
Van de Velde's father was in American Flyer.
He's also a big track guy. He's a big racer in the 60s and 70s.
If you folks really want to get into this, there's two movies you got to watch, right? What are they, John?
I don't know. I don't watch none of that stuff. American Flyer's one of them, and what's the other one?
The Cutters and the
Cutters. Yeah, but what's that called? I don't even know what that's called. I can't remember anymore. It's kind of cheesy. Breaking away. It's kind of cheesy when the Russian throws the pump between the wheel and the dude goes off the road.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I'm sure four guys got killed back in the day that were trying to motor pace behind.
The one dude looks like he could be. One guy looks like he could be Napoleon.
Well, it's Kelly Leak, man. Kelly Leak ended up there after he played for the Bad News Bears. He got into riding bikes. So, but DeConnick Quick Steps at the front. Right now, it's going to come down to a sprint. It's going to be very interesting to see. Caleb's probably sitting in there really protected. They don't even know he's there. Today should be big field sprint, so we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. I mean, it's today. Not a whole lot's going to happen this week. I wanted to check weather this morning. I forgot to check what the weather looks like in France this week. That could make a difference. But this week, looking ahead real quick in my Velo News race Bible here, we're not big enough yet to get the official race Bible. Hopefully, in a few years, we'll get the real.
Were
book.
you able to work that graphic in for the top 10 finishers after stage 9 GC guys? Thank you.
Okay, tomorrow, stage 11, Portier to Portier's relatively flat. Couple sprints in there, like a nothing Cat 4. So tomorrow's going to be another sprint day for sure. Stage 12 on Thursday starts to get a little lumpy, starts to get some hills in there. That's when you're going to see a break go for sure and probably stay away. And then, man, stage Friday is ugly. Stage Friday is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categorized climbs. Definitely as we head into total climbing is 14,000 plus feet, which is ugly across the Massif Central. So when you get some winds in there. Friday's going to be an interesting day, and then Saturday and Sunday are hilly days again with some legit climbs, and into next Monday then too, or actually next Tuesday. There's another rest day next Monday. But maybe I'm thinking by the time we do the next show, we'll probably have a really good idea on who's going to win this thing. More than likely.
That's a bold statement.
Well, but you got that. But again, you got that last.
But you still got the Alps
got that
yet.
uphill time trial. Well, we'll be in the Alps then. But you have the uphill time trial on Saturday before the finish in Paris, and anything can happen there. I mean, we could be talking about a Guillaume Martin. We could be talking about
Romain Bardet.
Yeah, or Rigoberto. I mean, it's really. I think if you're going to put me on point right now and say who's your top 3 right now, and I expect you to, I'm just going to beat you to it and tell you. I think Primoz hangs on. I think it goes against what I said a week ago, but Primoz is looking good. He's very composed. Those Eastern Bloc riders, man, they're stone faced. They're poker players. You don't know what they're thinking. They're just spot on. Those old Eastern Bloc riders are tough dudes.
For the same reasons that I didn't think Pinot would have a good tour because of all the animation and all the hubbubs and things, albeit he had the crash. But I think that's more of an indicative of just the stress that he's been under.
Pinot's
for that opposite logic, I'm going to go with Quintana because he's totally been out of the limelight.
Yeah.
He's been cool. He's been resting. No one's focused on him.
Yeah.
And week 3, that may be it. And
it is up. I mean, again, it's a wild card, that uphill time trial at the end. Anything can happen if it's wet, whatever. I mean, obviously they're not going downhill, but still.
Okay, fair enough. So on our next show, we should do the rest day, which would be next Monday.
Yeah.
And let's try to do that at 8 o'clock in the morning on Monday morning.
Do the same thing. Date.
Yeah, the same thing. What's the date on that, Josh?
It is the 14th.
Okay, that's an official rest day. So at that point, we will meet here at 8 in downtown Mount Gretna at the Josh Ehring Studio.
This is the beautiful sprawling suburbs of downtown Mount Gretna.
It is. It's kind of it's not downtown.
It is kind of
where Deluxe Bikes is clearly
downtown Lebanon. Beautiful, historic downtown Lebanon.
So what we'll do is come in the morning, do the show. Hopefully Josh will be able to get it out by Monday afternoon. Clearly a rest day. So the other thing I want to do then is bring in my GUERCIOTTI time trial bike so you can have a look at that, how it's different. Not a lot of you folks have seen, the real deal time trial bike. It's DI2. It's tricked out, right? You've seen it.
Yeah.
And so I want to bring that in anticipation and preview of the Stage 20 uphill time trial. Let's speak a minute about that. We've got about a minute left.
They're going to be on regular bikes.
They're going to be on regular bikes, totally.
As light as they can make them, right up against the UCI limit for sure.
So no time trial bikes.
No, I don't think you'll see any.
So I'm bringing my time trial bike anyway, just because.
Well, you have to. You did that big build-up and stuff. You don't have a choice now.
No, I did. I wanted to show it off anyway.
Top three, I think Primoz hangs on unless something happens. I really do. I think Egon drops. I don't think Egon ends up second. I'm going to call it and say probably Katana second and the kid third, Taddy third. That's. I mean, I don't know. I still think Projakar can win this.
So
thing.
2 Slovenians, 1 Colombian.
Yeah, I mean, but Projakar, yeah, Taddy can still win this thing.
All right. So, right. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, John. Great job today.
Thank you, Billy.
Very psyched for the rest of the tour.
Thank you for the man behind the camera.
Thank you, Big Josh. I just want to mention again, please send us your questions. John and I'll try to
I don't
field
think
them.
we got any, did we?
No, we didn't get any.
Man.
But please send us your questions. But more importantly, relative to
big crash, just had a little bit of a crash there on the road as they brought him back. Let's see who's involved in that. There's a Jumbo-visma jersey in there. There's hard to tell here because they're doing the well. We got a UAA rider holding a shoulder, which is never good. That's almost always a collarbone. Touch of wheels, down they go in the bunch.
So remember, GBN, the Gretna Bill Show, the Gretna Bill Network. Please send us in your videos or your pics of your best riding, favorite riding, and or bike, or the combination of both. And we'll be sure to air that on our next podcast. And thanks for tuning in. Hope you had a good time.
Thank you, Billy.
I know we did.
Yep.
Peace out.